Hey, welcome to the podcast. And for my first episode, I couldn't have nobody else other than my good friend, Brian Shirley. Thanks for being with me, Brian.
Oh, yeah. My pleasure, Ron. I wouldn't be anywhere else. We've talked about this for a long time, so I've looked forward to coming on.
Well, I'm glad to have you on. Like I said, you're an entertainer extraordinaire, and you have experience with acting, comedian, voiceover, director, producer, writer, and of course, I had to put in good friend.
Thank you.
You've been quite busy lately.
Yes, that's the name of the game, staying busy. I think a lot of folks don't know behind the scenes what we do as entertainers, actors, comedians, singers, you name it. In order to make a living at this, you've got to keep yourself busy somehow. And I think I've really, over the last 2 or 3 years, is when I've kind of gotten to my groove. I've been doing it for close to 30, but I guess sometimes it takes a while to learn. But yeah, I mean, wherever you want to start, just let me know, because I've got a bunch to cover.
Well, it definitely taken you all over the world, hasn't it?
Yeah, I back in the day, I used to tour extensively across North America. I would take just about anything as a stand-up comedian, and I've been from one end of the country to the other, literally driven from Charleston to Seattle, Washington, and those were the days when you just go out and do it, and you could get work as an MC and actually get a hotel room and everything. And that's tough to do nowadays. Now, when you go on the road, it's really only middle acts, feature acts, and headliners that get the hotel and the pay. And if that, what's crazy about it, Ron, is that I guess as a middle and as a headliner, these comics are getting paid almost the same as they did 20 years ago, and that's no lie. The only way you get a raise is pumping your career up to a point where they got to give you more money, which is what I've been trying to do the last, I'd say 10 years. I've really been concentrating on not only just getting my show, writing new material and get my show perfected. But that's when I started getting into acting too, so I could kind of get some credits. And then I just fell in love with being on sets. So it was kind of nice to make that transition. And that's where I'm at now.
Right. I'd like to show a little clip of your comedy here, and we'll elaborate on that a little bit here. This is a little segment of one of Brian's shows here.
Just a piece of paper. Man, we are in the deep south, aren't we? Just a piece of paper. My grandma had a rock that said, "We're married." Then they broke it in half. They were divorced. See, you have to adapt to their everyday. Both of you do. Both of the people, the man and the woman, have to adapt to it. You do. Okay, because things are going to change. 7 years down the road, all of a sudden he's going to develop a snort out of nowhere. You're going to be like, he did that 27 times yesterday. And you laugh, she'll develop a limp, and you won't know where the fuck came from. You'll just be sitting in the mall waiting for her, and she'll come out of the store. You'll be like, here comes Waddles.
Hilarious.
Thank you. You know what's crazy about that clip is the first part, the segment where I'm talking about breaking the rock, and then they're divorced. That's the only time I've ever done that joke.
Really?
Yeah. Because I don't. It isn't shown in the clip, but I edited it myself. The lady said something about marriage just being a piece of paper. And I just went with it. It just came out of my mouth, oh yeah, just piece of paper, And then I went to as you saw, kind of like a redneck or whatever imitation about the rock and everything. And yeah, and I use that one a lot because, you probably won't see it. Oh, well, you haven't seen it, but that time. So when people come to the show, they've already seen it, so I don't even do it.
Right.
And then, that other part I do, but there's more to that as well. So I don't like to I try not to give everything away, whenever I'm posting stuff online. And there's a lot of them that are the same that you'll see, if you watch a lot of my BTS on the road, which is the little web series that we do, Drew and myself and some other comedians. That's the moniker for it. It's called BTS on the road. And back in the day, we did longer segments, and we're starting to get back into doing longer segments. Now they're about a minute or two. I just talk real quick, but Drew's helping me. Drew Howard is helping me put together some longer segments because he's better at editing than I am. But if you watch the old ones, there's about 70 of them, I think, online on my YouTube channel. You might see some of the same bits throughout because I do put stand-up in them too. But I don't want to give too much away. I want people to come to the show. I want them to know I'm funny, so I put out teasers, and then they come to the show and they see some different stuff. They might see a little bit of the same, for a minute or two. But most of the time, I try to put out a different show.
Now, this last week, you were doing with a big heavy hitter.
That's right. This man right here, as a matter of fact, George Wallace. Oh, you got him. There he is. And that's Thomas Paris on the other side of George and me up front, of course. Thomas owns the Savannah Comedy Review. He doesn't own the building. He owns the name and he books the comedians and everything. And that's a crazy story right there, Ron. A lot of people don't know that before this poster, there was another poster that just had me on it because I was the headliner. And George is down there shooting a sitcom for Free V, which I think used to be IMDb TV, and they changed it. And so they're shooting a sitcom with Thelma Hopkins. There she is from Tony Orlando and Dawn. Also Family Matters and a lot of other stuff too. I could not believe she is at least 70. I'm not even going to try to guess because she does not look it. I just knew I saw her. She was the cast and the crew and the directors were all at this show. And when I saw her just kind of walking around the club, I was like, I know her from somewhere. And then I went up and grabbed her and got that picture. And I figured it out. And I was like, oh, wow. And I don't think a lot of people knew who she was. And she's a small little thing. And just as sweet as can be. She came up and said, "You were funny." And I was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh, I got to grab her and get a picture with her." But, that came about because they were down shooting that sitcom called, it's in production now and it'll go until June, and it's called Clean Slate. And he just called the club, got in touch with Tom and said, "Hey, I'm here. Can I do a show? I want to do some time." And, Tom and him went back and forth as far as what date and all this other stuff. And so he decided to do it on this date. And Tom, next thing I know, posters are changed. And Tom didn't even tell me. I mean, I love Tom to death, but no, I had to call him. I was like, "Tom, is that George Wallace I see on the poster?" And he's like, "Yeah, he's going to do the show too." And I was like, "So do you need me?" "Oh yeah, you're still there." Okay. And thank goodness George went last because, trying to follow a legend of comedy like that, it was
absolutely.
It was a standing room only. And wow. I mean, just one of those nights I was like, I got to bring it. Because even though I wasn't following him, I wanted to go up and just blister the crowd as much as possible because I wanted the directors and everybody and George to go, "Oh, this guy's pretty funny." So yeah, just went up and had a hell of a show. And
Great.
George even referenced me about 2 or 3 times during his show, about some joke I did or whatever. And he gave me props. So that was cool. I mean, that was a night you don't forget. But here's the roller coaster that stand-up / entertainment is. So last Saturday, boom. I mean, you're just riding that thing. And last night, a week later, I'm at a brewery here in Charleston in front of about 25 people, and they're all spread out, and we don't have a stage, and we're kind of in a corner, and me and the other comic had to move chairs around, and but it was one of those last minute things. I had a week where I did 2 commercials in different states. I did one in Atlanta, and then drove home and got last minute found out that I was really going to do the one in Florida, because they had told me, yeah, we want you, but they had never sent any kind of confirmation or anything. So I didn't think I was like, oh, well, I guess they changed their mind. And the next thing I know, the day before the shoot, they go, okay, we got your hotel room. I was like, what? And literally had to drive down the night before. I got there at 9:00, did the commercial the next day, and then drove to Savannah, did the show, and drove back to Charleston. So after that week, I was happy to not have a lot to do this week.
Right.
So I did trivia. I hosted trivia one night, picked that up last minute, did some bingo another night. And then last minute, again, got a gig, doing stand-up, opening for another comedian here locally. But that's the lesson, that you don't want to never learn. It's the lesson that you hope that you don't think you're so big that you shouldn't do things like that.
Right.
Because I said, okay, I'll do it. It was, I'm not going to discuss the pay, but it was, a lot cheaper than last week. And, but the guy that that books all these things, I found out into the headliner, does a bunch of these around the Southeast, if not, some other places, and it's breweries. And I've never even heard of, this company. So we'll see, if I get in with them, then there's another thing for me to, sometimes do, there's another entertainment venue for me. So that's what you're always doing, man. 25, 30 years, you still are getting in with new people and you're learning new things. And it's kind of crazy.
You mentioned the commercials. You've done some pretty awesome commercials. Let me show that a little bit.
Sure.
Hey, there's a shoebox coming. Lock the doors.
That's what I'm talking about. This guy's a real machine. Merciless. What you need, muchacho, is a theme song. He likes to kill pests. He exterminates them all.
I love it. Love it.
Thanks. The first one and the last one on the lawnmower, those were both shot in Atlanta as well. The one on the lawnmower, believe it or not, it was shortly after my heart attack. So I was trimmed there. And I think I shot it in January. And, I had the heart attack on 9/11, 2018. So, and my mom was in the hospital. As a matter of fact, I went from that set and picked my brother up at the airport, and we went and saw her at the hospital. And the only reason I say that is because you're always trying to stay in character, when you're doing these things, and just, you got to put outside anything in your personal life. Yeah. So that's what I was going through on that set, but nobody knew, because I thought, and this is what they tell you, don't bring anything to the set as far as, problems and all that other stuff, because, you don't want it to affect you and you don't want it to affect other people, So I had a great time on that set. It was fun. And then the first one I just did last year, late. And that company, it's for an accountant. It's called Internet Accountant. And that character, we did 2 different commercials, and I had the wig on, the hairpiece, and they loved that character so much that earlier this year they sent me an email and they said, we're thinking about doing more with that character, or would you be in for it? And I said, sure. And all right, we're having a meeting next week. Okay. Never heard another thing, but you never know.
Yeah.
What happened? Why did they decide not to, or did they say, before we do that, let's do this other stuff and then we'll go back to him?
Right.
So you never know. You may not hear anything. And the commercials I shot recently for lawyer stuff, and the big one is going to be Florida, because the lawnmower was a regional commercial, so that was on Hulu up in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and some of those other states in that area. And so that's a regional, and the Florida is going to be kind of the middle part of Florida. Orlando, Gainesville. Was shot in Gainesville. That's where the company is at that I did the commercial for. So, more info on that when those come out. And they might want me to come down and do some voiceover for radio ads. I'm like, I'm there. Sure. Let me do that again, because that was fun. That was
the voiceover. What's some of the shows and movies you've done on that?
I've done, most of them were independent stuff so far, like Inside Ben. I played a radio announcer on that. It's a feature film. It's an indie. That was one of the first things I did in my acting career. As a matter of fact, that's almost 10 years ago. That was 2014. And then really I haven't gotten anything huge, but I've gotten a lot of small. Yeah, that's a picture from I don't know what's going on with that one. It's Indian movie, and we did ADR work. I'd never done that before. That is some of the hardest work you can do, especially because we weren't doing voiceover for characters we did. I don't know if a lot of folks know this, but when you watch a movie, a lot of the times what they do is they shoot it and the sound will be up while they're shooting. You can hear the actors, but it's not always the best. So those actors will go into a sound studio and do their lines again while they watch the movie and match their lines to their mouth, and they got to remember what emotions they were having and all that stuff. This, we difficult. Yeah, we were doing ADR. We were doing the same thing, but we were doing it for other people that already done the characters, and the foreigners. And we had to do it. I had to do it in an Australian accent, and I had to do it in a French, I think. I don't know. We were doing a couple of different ones, and they were saying, can you, I think like not Russian, but Eastern European, and the Italian or something. They were going, can you do that? And I was like, I'm not sure. Well, you want to try it? Yeah. And I did. And they went, man, you're lying. I go, why? They said you weren't sure you could do it. You nailed it. I was like, oh, really? Okay. So, but I mean, the other actors were helping me a lot with that. They were giving me, tips on where to hold the tongue and what part of the mouth, for whatever accent. So that helped a lot. And that movie is supposed to be coming out later this year, but I haven't heard what they're doing with it. I haven't got paid either.
Oh, jeez, that's not good.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that. So that's how it goes. I mean, that was done probably a month ago, if not longer. I mean, not much longer, probably around a month ago. And but that's nothing. People go, other people in entertainment and acting go, oh, you've only been waiting a month?
Yeah, right.
Which is true. Technically, they have 90 days. So,
but you stay busy. You've wrote directed, produced. I had the great pleasure of working with you.
Yeah. Yes, there it is. That's the big one so far that we've of all those shorts and stuff I've done. That one's probably. I guess the seer might be getting a little bit, not quite as much as Anguish though. That was like lightning in a bottle. And I was thinking about that today because we're doing this, and especially the cover. I mean, I'll never forget that but if the people don't know yet, the guys, girls out there, the guy that's doing this podcast, that's him. That's Ron. Okay. Yeah, I hope they knew that. But if they didn't, this is Ron, the guy.
We'll run the trailer. You want to run the trailer?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, run it towards the end. That'd be fun. Whenever you were shooting that gun or, pointing that gun, and I took that picture with my cell phone, folks, and then I looked at it, and I don't know if you remember this, Ron. I just said, there's the poster. There's the poster for the movie. It was like, boom. I mean, that was just, and so.
Hey, we got to put a word out here for Drew Howard. Oh, amazing on it. He edited it. He was a big part of this as well.
Drew did well. Not only did he play, do a good job acting as one of the detectives who was trapped, and you were really doing a number on him. Or no, excuse me, I was.
Yeah.
That's right. I was the villain. Of course, you shot him, but I know we're giving stuff away, but that's fine. Because I think I did a little bit of editing on it just to kind of trim the fat, and then handed it to Drew and said, "Can you do this and that?" And he did. Oh yeah, he saved that movie because there were some. I think there's a lot of directors that think this too. You do something and then you put it out, and then you go, "Shoot, man, I wish I could go back and do this." I learned something the other day, and if I'd have done that on that film, it would have, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's always learning and always getting new ideas. And so, there's still things with English. I go, gosh, we should have shot, you don't know. And that's why they do things like storyboards and everything. So we didn't do that on that movie. And now I'm going, damn, now that's why they do storyboards. Because I watch it and I go, I should have planned that out a little bit better. This certain shots that I'm not going to give away. But
it's definitely got its accolades. I mean, it's definitely has gotten its accolades.
Yes, and folks, Ron won Best Character in a little film festival. I put it in a bunch, and it's made it through a good bit of them, and it's won some awards here and there, and we'll have to examine the story when we get a chance and continue on. I know Ron wants to more than anything, because Ron, you bugged me so much that I feel bad. I'm like, oh God, I don't. Oh, poor
You
Ron.
can catch us on Spark TV.
Right, Spark TV and IBL Network. So if you have a Roku, you can download IBL Network, Inspiration by Loretta. Got to give her a plug because she's working her butt off on that channel. And then Spark TV, Aaron does a great job with that. So you've got two places you can watch it for free. One online if you want to just watch it on your computer, and one on your TV. And you can see us and tell us, you can send me a message, BrianTShirley@AOL.com, or send Ron a message or Drew a message through our Facebook or whatever, and let us know what you think. And if you have an idea for another one, we'd certainly like that.
Let me run the trailer real quick in case.
All right, go ahead.
Maybe you have someone bringing in medical supplies, like your partner suggested.
All right, he's on his way. Where's my wife and son?
Whoa.
That girl has a name, Bill. Sue Waters. And she was dead before we got there.
Welcome back to the world of tortured souls, detective.
Cool. I haven't seen that in a while. The other thing I want to say, as Ron, once again, I got to give you accolades because I remember telling you what I wanted from you in that particular scene as well. And I remember, I think we talked about it before we even came over to your house to shoot that. And I said, Ron, you're going to have to bring it at this point. You got to really, and damn it if you didn't. I mean, you really, yeah. And you told me, and this is something I think that's important, especially for actors to kind of grasp. You told me that you got an acting job because of that.
I actually got 3.
3. Wow.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show you that, there's times to create your own thing like we did. If, you're not doing anything and you're like, I want to do it. I want to get some roles, or I want to, I have a creative need, write your own stuff, get some buddies, and then, get it done. And, the other thing is being part of other people's projects, but you got to start being picky. Once you get, kind of get your acting chops going,
I agree.
There is a time to turn down free projects, but there is a time to do them as well. And that's all throughout your career, because I'm doing Spider-Man, The Dark Age tomorrow. I play a teacher in that. And, it's a no budget film, but yeah, there you go. But it is a fan film and it's Spider-Man. So I'm like, this could be really cool. And it's a part I don't play a lot. I don't think I've gotten to play a teacher yet. I've played a principal, but not a teacher. And, I'm like, that's in my realm. I mean, there's no reason I should not be cast for something like that, because I do get the detective a lot and maybe the doctor or whatever. So that's the other reason, you got to have a list of things, of qualifiers. And I do the same with stand-up as to why you would take a gig or why you would turn down a gig. But so I think if you're doing acting or any kind of entertainment, really, you have to be proactive, but you also have to be smart about the choices. And sometimes, I've made bad choices. I've done stupid things, and hopefully nothing that people. Yeah, I did one recently. I told you about a voiceover for one. And then I started investigating it, and I was like, "Oh boy, okay." And I'm not going to say what it is, but I got paid, so I was like, "All right, well, we'll just kind of see what happens with that." But
so, what do you got coming up in the near future?
Well, Spider-Man's coming tomorrow, and then I'm going to be here rest of the week. Tomorrow's gonna be another week where I'm doing auditions and stuff. Like today, I did a voiceover audition and another video audition. So those things I'm working on. I'm supposed to get some tours. I don't have any information on them yet, but I'm supposed to do some stand-up tours at casinos later this year. Have not got the dates. I just had the organization reach out to me and say, "Hey, can you give us some dates from July to September, I think?" And I said, "Sure. We want you to do a casino run for us." I did one for them last year. I did Mississippi Bonkers in Tunica. So they got that, and just got a lot of sporadic work stand-up wise coming down the pike about, every month, just about. I've got at least 1 or 2 gigs. And so I'm just continually pumping out other stuff, hopefully.
You can find you on just about every channel. I mean, you're on Tubi. You can find you on Tubi. My goodness. I mean, you're everywhere, you know.
Amazon, and then The Leap, and there's 3 productions I did for that pinball productions company that you got up. They're on everything: Sirius, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere you hear, you know, podcast series. They call them podcast series. They're like audio dramas or audio you know what I mean?
Right.
Those are fun. I've done some of those now, and hope to do some more. Like I said, I've done 3 for them. I just auditioned for another one for them that's going to be coming out, and I don't know if I got the part, but I did audition. And then I've got some other voiceover stuff I just did that I don't know what's going on with it. You know how it is with anything. You do it, and then you don't know if they're going to use you, or I think one of them they are, and it's another. I'm not going to say what it is right now. I'll just tease it and say it's another superhero thing, and I think it's an alternate ending, so it's animated too. And I'm hoping they liked what I did, because this one's really cool. I mean, this will be nice. It's online. It's on YouTube, and I've watched some of their other things. This company, and I saw them, and they were on backstage, I think, and I put in for something. No, here's what I did, and this is why I say you have to be proactive. I saw that they wanted something out of my parameters as far as, you know, age and race and all that. But I had watched some of their stuff, and I said, look, I like what y'all are doing. I know that I'm not good for this character you're looking for right now, but here's my stuff, and I'd love to work with you in the future if you have a role you think I can do. And I think it was about 2 weeks later, the guy reached back and said, hey, you know, we'd really love to work with you. We don't have anything right now, but we like your stuff. Great. Then another week or two, here's a role, real short, but hey, do you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And still wanting to hear from that. And then I had another voiceover I did. Same thing, basically, just little things, but they add up after a while, you know, because if you start looking at your IMDb page and you're like, okay, I got 10 credits, and then, you know, a year or two later, oh my God, I got 40. Whoa.
Right.
So it just starts adding, you know, and you're going, okay, yeah, this is, yeah.
Wow. Well, Brian, I want to thank you very much for coming on today. And one thing, you tell the story how we first met.
Oh yeah, I was doing an industrial, which is like in-house video, or actually they called it an industrial, but it was more like a commercial for a doctor's office, where we just are background, and you just see us doing this or holding our leg, or I know what it was. It was for a new medical device where
Rom bike.
That's it. And that way, if you have a leg injury or whatever, this thing works your knees and what. So, geez, man, what year was that? That had to be 2016 or 2017, right?
Well, it was.
It must have been
2 weeks before you had your heart attack.
Oh, was that? Oh, really? So it was 2018. Okay.
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks before you had your heart attack, and that day I was thinking about you all day real hard. I said, man, we collaborated on different stuff, and we were talking about different stuff. And I thought, I'm going to call. You were on my mind so hard that day. And I thought, I'm going to call him. I called you, and then you tell me I had a heart attack today, and I'm having surgery tomorrow. And I was like, oh my.
And like I told you the other day, I do not even remember the conversation because I was in so much. I don't know. I don't think I was in pain at that point, but I was on medication, and they just went through my groin and put the balloon in my heart to keep me alive the night before. And that was wild because, we did the we did the commercial, and I remember coming on the set, and you were there because this, folks, you got to remember, this was a small set. We didn't have but two of us at the time that we got there, and then there were a couple of other actors that came in, and they didn't use us all at the same time. So, you know, as a matter of fact, sometimes we'd film by ourselves with whatever, the doctor. And I just remember going, because I'm always nervous when I meet people, especially on a set for the first time. And I'm going, man, I hope this guy's not a dickhead. And so me and you started talking, and I went, no, this guy's pretty cool, actually, you know, because you just never know. I mean, I've been in entertainment, and I've had those times when, you know, I show up at the club or wherever, and, you know, usually it's good, but then there's every once in a while it pops up, and it's like, oh God, I got to work with this guy, you know. And no, you were a pleasure. I was like, wow, this is great. You know, we hit it off, and yeah, then I had the heart attack, and you were like, oh wow. And
so call me back. You know,
yeah. Give me a little bit. Let me get back. And so, what's really cool though is since that time, we have grown in that short time. Well, you know, we're talking almost 5 years now, but man, the things that we've accomplished since then is just amazing. And I think it's, you know, one, it's our experience beforehand, you know, and it's, you know, we have had and still have to. We got a short learning curve because we're not young.
Exactly.
so I think we realize that, you know, we need to learn our lessons pretty fast, and you know, if we're going to make mistakes, only make them once and then move on. You know, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just incredible, Ron, when I think back to that and where we are now, because we've done, you know, we've been in maybe not big parts or anything, but we've been in major productions, and we've been on these indie productions, and where we've gotten speaking roles and stuff. And, you know, people can, you know, we're not on the camera for just a split second, you know, we're actually contributing a lot to the film, which I'm not saying people in our background don't, but I mean, you know, once you start getting speaking roles and everything, you just you want that more and more. You're just like, God, I want to do that some more. And yeah, it was me and Ashley got to do that detective scene on Oak on the Outside, and you know, I got to thank Adrian Roman for that, because you know, that thing, I haven't even put it out yet. As far as an acting reel, he sent me the stuff, and there's a couple of other films I'm waiting on to kind of tie it into. But yeah, I gotta say thanks to Roman for having faith in me. And of course, I mean that scene's not as big as yours, but we were joking about that earlier.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's, you know, you never know what they're going to use. That's the other thing, you know. And then, you know, I was on, what was it, Outer Banks, and I did this kind of improv scene with one of the major characters on there, Charles Eston, who plays the dad, and never made the never made the cut. And I was so pissed, because it was like, holy shoot.
yeah, that definitely happens.
Yeah. So, and I know, you know, you're always hoping when you go on a set, you know, that whatever you do is going to be kept, or that you're going to get more. And I did get lucky recently. I was on the set of Cast, which is not out yet, which I don't think is going to come out till 2024. And that was filmed in Savannah. And I went down and was doing background, which I don't do a lot. I don't want to be known as a background actor, but I just love being on a set. So if I haven't been on for a while and I see an opportunity, I'll do it, especially if I'm getting paid. And they paid good. Yeah. And the first day I was on the set, I heard my name over the radio when they took me to a trailer to kind of just sit there for a minute. And the lady comes up and she goes, "Mr. Shirley, would you like to do some stand-in work?" And I was like, oh, yeah. So I got to do stand-in for the first time, and that's an experience with an Oscar-nominated director, Ava DuVernay. So, that was really cool. And I think now I can use that on my resume and everything. And I'm part of the crew now, not just an act, not just background. So that's on my IMDb as crew on that film. That's no, it's a film. I think it is. I don't remember. But like I said, I think it's coming out next year because it's for like Apple TV Plus or Apple Plus TV. And that they usually have their, schedule for the year out by now,
Mhm.
So if they were going to be this year, it'll be late this year or next year. It's based on a true story, and it's got a huge cast. So we'll see what happens with that. And then I just did Manhunt down there too, which is about the 10 days that they hunt John Wilkes Booth down after he killed Lincoln. So I think that'll be pretty big.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Guess what? You won't see this. You will not see this.
Oh, no?
They both time I went down there, they put a wig on me, So yeah, that'll be a different look.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Well, Brian, I want to thank you for being on. I appreciate it. I know we talk every week on the phone, but
Yeah.
it's great to have you on. Absolutely had to have you as my first guest, and I appreciate everything. And we'll be talking real soon.
Yeah, I'll have more stuff, and I'm glad to have you as my buddy and my friend, and I wish you the most success on this podcast.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next guests are going to be Ricky Peterson, back from the days from American Bandstand. David Van Williams, back from the days of Fame, the 70s show, and that school. And I just want to thank you for joining us. Please subscribe, like, share, hit the notifications. It really is going to help a lot. I appreciate all you. Love you. Thanks again, Brian.
Thank you.